Welcome to the Re-Entry Archive. I am being reborn, a Mescaline experience report taken from erowid.org. Before I can really understand why a trip has gone a certain direction, I have to think about my past history, which has a great deal of sway over my mindset. I'll be 21 this September, and since I was about 16 or 17, I've steadily become more interested in psychedelics. It all started out with a few aborts my friend Zeke gave me one night at a small party of about 15 or so in a small cabin in a quiet college town. I had read about psychedelics a great deal and was not actively seeking mushrooms, but hoping to come in contact with them. I even went to the extent of picking poisonous mushrooms and becoming intensely ill from eating them. Why did I seek the mushroom? Well, of course the visual aspect is very interesting, but as I have learned more recently, it is better just to free the mind completely, not even focus on those. Once the mind is clear, I am able to feel the love of something far greater than myself. The culture of the hippie area always had me interested because of their willingness to love and embrace everything and everyone around them. No questions asked. Continuing with my drug history. After my first trip, which involved me seeing a beautiful floating orb of white light, I became even more interested in the mushroom and more interested in other psychedelics. Eventually, I met Colas, who became my greatest friend to date. We used psychedelics together a great deal and even experienced telepathy and telekinesis in an LSD trip together, both witnessing the exact same thing at the same time. Earlier this year, Colas passed away in a fatal car accident. I've always had a history of having premonitions of sort, a few examples being that of a building burning down and an explosion at a factory, and a couple months prior to Colas's death, a premonition that Colas would die. It was so startling that I immediately blew it off and refused to take it into further consideration, because if he did die, then it would happen either way. Last November, during our last trip together, we both started to break through to the other side. That feeling when I'm slipping between dimensions is absolutely breathtaking. My ability to feel bliss is what determines how far these dimensions go. It seems as though between each dimension I go through these masks that I wear to disguise who I really am. The more of these masks I wear, the harder it is for my soul to breathe. When my soul can breathe, I feel truly in touch with everything and everyone around me. Our breath is just a basic example of the flow of the universe and how everything is constantly changing. It is when I learned how to control my breath and travel into these states that I choose that I first experienced bliss. This is what I've learned in my LSD trips, mushroom trips, and last night, my mescaline trip since Colas died. He did experience bliss before he died though, and I am to this day convinced, as are many of my friends, that Colas was here to plant a seed in each of our minds, so that we ourselves could spread the seed to others and help others come into contact with the bliss that they have forgotten how to access. Meditation is also a great way to find this bliss. The trip. Last night, I consumed 1 capsule of mescaline. It was a white powder. Looked like it was a decent quality. I suspect it was a trichoceros extract of some sort, but I could definitely be wrong, as the only other mescaline containing substances I have taken are Peruvian torch and San Pedro. Regardless, mescaline is a very smooth drug. It feels so natural, and I feel one with all of nature. In my experiences with DMT, I feel as though I am taken to an alien existence in a dimension far from our own, where the function of reality is truly complex. With LSD, I feel as though I am strung across the astral plane, which is a very intense experience. With mescaline though, I am riding a wave. If I so choose, I can manipulate this wave and flow seamlessly through space-time. It is a magnificent experience. However, I must say, it has been painful having my ego softened enough to where I am able to experience this existence as much as I am. And I am very thankful and very blessed to have reached thus far in my trips. Admittedly, I am no expert, however. I am no Terence McKenna, nor Timothy Leary. The thing these men must have seen and experienced and lived through fascinate me a great deal. I cannot even imagine how mentally solid they must have been. 3:30, ingested tablet with a bit of soda pop on an empty stomach. 4:15, that same smooth mescaline wave is starting to creep up on me. 4:45 to 5 o'clock. Things have become rather wavy. There are beautiful neon colours flowing on the walls, green and pink and blue and purple. I have my eyes closed now and I'm laying on the couch, putting my mind into a meditative state. 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. For the remainder of my trip, I focused on living without my body and experienced the greatest bliss I have felt to date. I was at the place I was at before I was born, which has become a bit more familiar to me in the last few times I have tripped. It is a really beautiful place. This is the astral plane. It seems so much different than when I am on LSD. But this is not the same place after all. I am living in a dimension now that I call home. How have I ever forgotten where I come from? I don't know. But I promised the people there that I would now not forget. And most certainly, I have not. I cannot see nor directly speak to Colas, but I know he is in this existence, somewhere, in some form, doing what he was meant to do. I can no longer hold on to his death. As the Tibetan monks say, mourning the death will only distract the soul from reaching nirvana. I must feel happy for him, feel pleased that his soul is free, feel happy that I am free, let go, experience the bliss that lies within. I simply live without the attachments of ego and the body. But it is hard to let go. But why stay? What is there to fear? The unknown? This is the only thing I have ever had faith in. My love for everything around me. Focus on that love Free my soul. I am visualizing my soul trying more or less to walk out of my body. I do not know how to walk in this form. When I try to open my eyes, they will not open. I feel as though I am in a dream that I am trying to gain control over. I remember now how this is done. Babies don't know how to walk, but they find a way. I focused and began to struggle. Wriggled out of my body, freed my third eye. I continued to focus my mind on love. And rather than trying to walk, I learned another way to move my arms and legs. I'm not focusing on my body. I'm focusing somewhere else. I'm focusing on my third eye. Now I can see reality for what it is. We are on a plane, and all of our paths are interconnecting, trying to form a greater net, so that we can feel a greater presence. We are all one and united. I am removing my masks now. I am shedding my ego. I am remembering what is important to me. To lose the ego, I must realize that I am not the most important aspect of reality. I must learn to become the Father, not the Son. To become the Father, I must become selfless and learn to truly give myself to the rest of the world. Just give my love to everything around me at all times. That is all it takes. I am being reborn. I have shed my ego, and now, in an existence I seem to know from some time long ago. It is so good to be back. For the remainder of the trip, I spend as much time in this state as possible, realizing how perfect everything was, and simply trying to get to where I could steadily focus on that state and not lose it. I feel as though I accomplished a lot in this trip, and look forward to accomplishing even more the next time around. This was an absolutely amazing experience, and it helped me let go of my friend's death. I love you, Colas. I'll see you again soon. Here again, this experience shows the risks of trying to force wisdom. A desperate desire to seek an encounter with the psychedelic realm drove this traveller to pick and consume toxic mushrooms, an entirely risky and reckless act which I completely condemn. No one should ever take any substance unless they are 100% convinced what it is. Safety must always be the first priority. Safety issues aside, this experience demonstrates several classic psychedelic themes. The death of Colas is a central theme. This experience helped the traveller confront, process, and eventually transform their grief into love, remembrance, and spiritual growth. This is a classic example of psychedelic alchemy at play, taking pain and turning it into wisdom. This experience also has a visceral encounter with the spiritual origin archetype. There is a feeling of returning to the place before birth, and once there, removing masks, a shedding of a facade, and facing this moment of mystical remnants with pure authenticity. This is an acknowledgement of one's origin of self, of one's central purpose, of one's divine union This is a moment of rebirth. Perhaps the most typical psychedelic experience here is the encounter with the concept that love is the highest principle. Amidst this moment, love is not just an emotion, it becomes the compass, the mechanism of ascension, and the answer to fear of death. All in all, this was a well-rounded experience, full of moments of revelation and profundity. This report left much to reflect on, but still, the most important lesson here is that of safety-conscious psychedelic use.